Welcome to Adaxes. In this video, we are going to look at approval-based workflows. Now, approval-based workflows can be useful when you want to delegate certain activities to lower-level users inside of your organization or company without losing that specific control. For example, you've delegated the activity of creating users to your HR department. But as IT staff, you still want to maintain that control and that added level security, and so you want the approval for that user creation to be done by the IT staff. So let's configure Adaxes to send that approval for new user creation to the IT staff. To do that, we're going to need to create a business rule. Let's create a new business rule, and we'll call it approval for user creation. And because we want the rule to send the user creation operation for approval, we need our business rule to be triggered before a new user is created in Active Directory. Once it's triggered, it then needs to actually send the operation for approval. Then we need to add the action send operation for approval. Here I can specify the list of approvers by either entering specific users or groups. Or I could also specify the manager of the user who's executing the operation, the manager of the new user, or the owner of their OUs. You can send the action for approval only if certain conditions are met. For example, you might not want to require approval if creating an account for an intern, but send the operation for approval for all other employee types. So in this case, we'll add a condition that if the employee type does not equal intern. And I can set up another condition that sends the operation for approval only if the initiator is not a member of the manager's group. On the last step, we need to define where that business rule will work. This assignment means that the rule will be triggered whenever a user is created in all my managed domains. Now that that rule is created, we can check out how this rule works in practice. To do that, we're going to head over to the web interface, and in the web interface, we're signed in as the HR manager, and the HR manager is going to go and create that user. For the employee type, we're going to make sure that we do not select intern. We want something other than intern. When we create that user, we will get an immediate notification that the operation is suspended and sent for approval. At this point, the user is not created. Within the web interface down below, we can select initiated by you, and within there, we will see that pending request. We can look at the details of that request, and as we look through those details, if we spot a mistake, we can actually go ahead and cancel that request as well. Switching over to my phone, because I am a member of the IT staff, I received an email for that approval request. And when I look at that email, I can see the details of the request, and this email is fully customizable, so you can change up how it looks. At that point, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I will see that I can click to approve or deny the request. And when I select that, I will be sent over to the web interface, at which point I can look at the item and then go ahead and approve that request. When the HR manager goes back to the web interface, they will see that that request has been approved and that the new user is now created within Active Directory. Approvals can also be multi-level. So imagine that the user's manager wants to have approval over that user creation after the IT staff has approved. To achieve this, all we need to do is add another approver action after the first action within inside of the same business rule. Back in the administration console, all you have to do is add a new action to the set and then select send this operation for approval. Then you will select the manager of the target user as the approval and save those changes off. You will then have two actions that will be performed. The first will go off for the first approval. Once that has been approved, then the second approval will be sent, allowing you to achieve multi-level approvers. Another area where approvals can be useful is if we're trying to delegate tasks for self-service. For example, if you want your users to request membership of distribution lists from the owner of that list. In this example, we already have a business rule called approval for adding group members, and this rule will actually trigger the approval when a user tries to join a distribution list. Note that this rule is triggered before adding a user to that group. And within the approval action, we can see that the approver is the owner of the target group. And this rule is assigned over the distribution list OU. Awesome, that rule is in place. Now let's see how this works. For this example, we're going to use my buddy Michael. Michael is signed into the web interface for self-service. From there, he wants to join that group. He's going to join the company news group. And when he submits that, Michael will see that it is submitted for approval. That will go through the same process that was used when we created the user. Approvals can be used not only for actions initiated by users, but also for actions automatically initiated by Adaxes. For example, after a new user is created, Adaxes will execute all of the onboarding procedures, and you can send individual ones for approval, like assigning Office 365 license may need approval by the user's manager. What if you want a list of approvers to be formed using some complex criteria that you may have? For this, you can use the help of scripts. Back in that approval for user creation business rule, you can edit one of the approval actions, and then instead of sending that operation for approval with an action, you can do it from a PowerShell script. Within the script editor, you can build that list of approvers within the script and then submit the operation for approval by calling the submit for approval method of the predefined PowerShell variable $context, and then just providing your list of approvers as a parameter. With approval-based workflow, you can safely delegate practically any task so that your higher level users like managers or IT staff can spend less time on those actions, yet still retain control. Thanks for watching.